My guest today is Rabbi David Sutton, and he has saved, without exaggeration, hundreds of lives. He's the co-founder of SIMHA, an organization transforming the way our community addresses mental health. Before SIMHA came around, nobody talked about issues like anxiety, depression, or OCD. It just wasn't something people felt comfortable bringing up. Most people were struggling quietly, not really sure who to talk to, and afraid of being judged. And that was all until Rabbi Sutton launched SIMHA in 2021 with a mission to break that silence, providing comfort to those who suffer through mental illnesses. And like I mentioned, he has saved hundreds of lives since. All right, let's get into the story of Rabbi David Sutton. Rabbi David Sutton, welcome to Impact.
Pleasure to be here.
You were able to create an organization that has helped thousands in our community with their mental health problems. However, I want to get to before that, before the clinics, before the support groups, before the assessments. There were moments where you realized something that others didn't, that people in our community needed help with their mental health problems. What can you tell me most about those moments where you knew something needed to change?
Well, the truth is, it's not just other people. Everybody has their struggles in mental health. It's something that's normal. And I had people close to me that struggled, and I was in a spot where I didn't know what to do. And I was looking around like, what do I do now? Who do I talk to? Who's going to help me? It's this kind of thing where you're uncomfortable. Like, I'm going to tell you, Baruch, how could you're in high school. And my high school kid is I don't know, he just doesn't want to get out of bed in the morning. Like he's just lethargic. But what should I do? But I'm going to ask you. Who am I asking now? Who am I going to talk to? Ask my rabbi. I'm uncomfortable. Maybe I don't want to tell him. Like, what do I do over here? It's not the kind of thing that's out there in the open. It's like the kind of thing that you suffer with silently. And I felt that I want to have a safe place where someone that's struggling could say, hey, let me reach out to these people. It's safe. It's confidential. They'll guide me.
I mean, as a rabbi, were you one of the people that people confided in? Like, did you know people's fears, their secrets, their relationships, their ideas? Were you there during all those moments, or did people as well? Like,
the truth is, not that often. Not before I started this business, people weren't comfortable coming over to me. They, like, I'm a rabbi, I teach Gemara, I teach this. And before I trained in this, I honestly didn't have a feel for it. I didn't see a lot of things on people. In hindsight, you say, wow, this person was suffering, that person was suffering. I didn't even notice it. So a lot of what we do is really to train rabbis that, I've been around for a while, but I will admit that I missed things on the way. I didn't have that sensitivity. I'm trying to give that over to other rabbis as well.
So if a kid was tired that day, they didn't want to come learn, and your reaction was just, oh, he's tired,
So there's a term, et chata'ai ani maskir hayom, where it's a story in the Chumash where the Sar Mashkim is talking to Yosef and says, I want to mention my sins, right? Et chata'ai ani maskir hayom. So I worked in a school, in a high school, not important the name of the school, and there was this kid that we couldn't get him to come on time, Fine him, detention, this, that, lazy. And it was going on throughout high school. Fast forward, at 22, he comes into SIMHA. And it turns out this young man then, but this man today, had a depressive disorder. And I didn't see it. It was in front of my face. If you just can't get a guy out of bed and can't get out of bed, maybe he's depressed. It didn't even cross my mind. And there's more than one case of people that came to us afterwards, and I knew them when they were in high school, and I just didn't see it because why should I? No one trained me in what this condition or that disorder is, what was really going on in front of me.
It didn't just go from you not being able to see and then creating an entire organization. There had to have been something. Like, was there a moment where you kind of told yourself that it's impossible that I can't do something about it, and you create this entire organization, SIMHA?
Well, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is confidentiality. So I'm not going to go into the details of the case, but there was a case where I saw multiple things going wrong, whether it was the rabbi that advised and them that didn't see some signs, whether it was the shadchan or the kala teacher or who they were referred to. And I just saw there's so many pieces that can be missed if you don't have a quarterback and have somebody like owning the case. And I said, I don't want these kind of things to happen again. I want to do something about it. And I was talking to Nathan Hoffman, who's our treasurer. We went to Mark Adjmi, who's currently our president. And I said, and Nathan's very involved in Chaim Medical on the physical side. And he saw that so many of his cases where people are coming in with maybe stomach aches or headaches, after they rule out all the medical, there's a lot of mental health going on there as well. And that, I like to use that mashal between mental health and physical health. We're just like when someone has a physical health problem, I have no problem calling Chaim Medical and like, what do I do? I have a stomach ache, I have this, I have that. And when it comes to mental health, people just like, who am I going to? What am I talking about? It's just, they don't understand the nuances.
It's hard. It's really hard to try to break that barrier and try to go through both levels at the same time. So how are you able to kind of train people with rabbinical courses or just classes or workshops? How are you able to help them develop that awareness that you didn't have yourself and many other rabbis didn't have in general?
Right. So I actually, when I thought of starting this, I traveled to Boston for 6 months for 2 days a week to take a 6-month course in mental health training for clergy. And I picked up, a little bit, not enough that I could give the course myself, but I saw how much I didn't know and how how much more there is to learn. So I searched for a psychologist who was knowledgeable in Torah and knowledgeable in mental health world, because I wanted the rabbis to be comfortable with somebody that spoke their language but was a mental health professional. I got a trainer named Dr. Stephen or Shlomo Zimmerman, and we have a female trainer, Dr. Sarah Miller. So we have 2 psychologists that we developed a curriculum and a course with a lot of time and effort and resources put into it. And Baruch Hashem, we trained close to 40 rabbis, more than that, more females than that, between shadchanim and kalot and kesher teachers. And we just want as many people that are on the front lines, like you pray in a synagogue, right?
Yeah. So
you would want that there's someone there that if you feel uncomfortable with something, you could talk to him, and he knows how to respond to you, and knows how to listen to you and understand what you're saying, and not just push it away like, come on, Baruch, come on, you're a good guy. What are you crying about? Come on, you could do it. But really to listen and hear what's going on. That's what we're trying to do. I mean, it's a job. It's there's a lot of people in our community, but we're trying to slowly but surely make an impact on these trainings.
That's amazing. And also, are you realizing now, like now that you have this developed awareness, now that you went to the mental health course, now you are noticing the signs when you're teaching in shul or when you're going to class, you're noticing it now?
Well, noticing, yeah, for sure. I'll give you a story that I appreciate. It actually talks to teenagers. There was a young lady that came into me, and she was didn't want to go out with she was actually from a more mainstream family, and she only wants to go out with a guy that's learning. And it really didn't fit. It wasn't really like, she was getting more religious, I understand, but it wasn't her family's match. But she refused. She's only going out with a guy that's learning. And learning guys didn't even want to go out with her because she really wasn't that style. And her father was getting frustrated. She want to get her married, and she's only something's wrong over here. So he wanted me to speak to her, explain to her it's okay, marry a guy that's working, nothing's wrong with that. Talking to the girl, like something just looked wrong. She looked just very nervous, very tense. I don't know why. I put in my mind, I said, are you just scared of dating? Are you anxious? And maybe is this just like a cover-up? You're trying to avoid dating? Is this an anxiety issue? And she just burst out crying. And she said, yeah, I'm scared to go out. And it was all cover-up. But I was just, I was peeling away. I'm making it short, but it was a 45-minute conversation until I started feeling that Something was wrong. We got her a therapist, and it was anxiety. It was just a total different story. But if I wasn't attuned to try to say something's going on under the hood, like there's something here, you have to ask yourself, why? Why these behaviors? Why these actions? What's going on over here? And that was like an eye-opening interaction.
Wow. So are most of the people that go to SIMHA, are they not the actual person that actually has the mental health problem?
No, so like in this case, the father approached me. Quite often, we'll call them the identified client, doesn't really want to come in. They don't think they have a problem, or it's okay, I'll deal with it. And a lot of times we have the parent, the brother, the sister, the father, the mother that come and say, like, what do I do with this situation? How do I help this person? And a lot of times we give tools to the people around the patient to somehow get how to deal with them and how to possibly get them help. So it's a process. It's like, they say it like takes a village. It's not like something that happens immediately.
And that's probably why that's why you probably specifically train teachers and rabbis. Those are the more type of mainstream type of people that reach all audiences.
Right. They're right. Exactly. They're not coming directly. I mean, that's the point, to get them to come to us, because there's layers, and it's not just, it's different than a physical problem, like I said.
What do you mean by layers?
Until you get the person there, it takes a step and another step and another step. You not just go over. Let's say I see you here, Baruch. You know what? I know what you keep going like this, Right? Now, I happen to know why you're doing that. I happen to know. Should I tell them why you're doing that?
Why?
It's fast day today. Okay? It's a fast day.
You called me.
Right? But now, let's say that wasn't the case, right? And I say, this guy looks like he's got some kind of something. What's going on? Why does he keep on like going like this? He's got a twitch? What's going on? What's going on, right? And then I noticed that, you also keep going like this, like, so something's wrong. And you keep going. You say, woman, I got to go outside for a minute. I got to, something's funny over here, right? I say, Baruch, come on. What's up with this lip licking thing all day? You're like licking your lips. What's going on over here, right?
Oh my God.
I'm not going to do that to you, right? Mm-hmm. You can say, no, it's okay, right? So what am I going to do? I can't just tell you, right? You can't just go over to the guy and say, hey, you need a therapist. It's not easy.
It's like a slow process.
It's a slow process, right? The person has to feel the need. It's like anything. Until the person himself realizes it, it takes time. And it takes support and people around them till they get the help that they need. And
it's very interesting because it's not only the person that is suffering through this whole mental health problem, their family as well is also going through it, Like, are there any examples that you have of a family really having to struggle with their own child or sister or brother or mother having a mental health problem? Many.
When the people have a lot of times it's with children, with a child suffering, and they just don't know how to help them. It could be an addiction, it could be an eating disorder, which is law Elena is becoming more prevalent in our community, where a lot of times it's just things that are going on and the people themselves are suffering just watching, because that itself is a problem. Mm-hmm. Living with somebody like that, living with someone that has severe OCD.
What do you do?
What do you do? It's not 1, 2, 3 answer. But if you're living with someone that's severe OCD, and every time you walk into the house, you got to wash your hands, you got to blow your nose, don't touch this, don't touch that, you could lose your mind. How do you live with someone like that? It's very difficult. Yeah, it's no simple answer. So the thing is now, specifically, you were mentioning how eating disorders are more prevalent in the community. And the thing is, in general, I feel that a lot of kind of mental illnesses or just anything that has affected someone's life is becoming more prevalent in the community. But back then, like there was a stigma around all of these disorders. There was all these types of shame that people had about everything really about themselves, such as eating disorders, OCD, anxiety. How were you able to kind of break that barrier? Well, the truth is I can't say I have. We're slowly trying to get there. But, a lot of times people will I like to use that physical, mental comparison. So many years ago, I started working out. Hit a certain age, 40 or whatever. You say, you got to start, your knees are hurting, you this, you that. I love that. And I walked into a I walked into the gym, whatever, and the guy says, do push-ups. I can't do push-ups. I can't do push-ups. It's not for me. I can't do push-ups. And he said, okay, fine. I didn't do push-ups. And I did it, and then I fell out. And then more recently, I started again. I hit another milestone in my age, and I started again. And this guy says, do push-ups. I can't. He says, yes, you could. And he got me to do push-ups. He just, we'll do half push-ups, and he got me to do it. And I like to use that as a mashal when I'm talking to people. And I say, I've tried therapy. It didn't work. It's not for me. It's not for me. I tried. It's not for me. I said, it's all about the match. You got to get the right match. I said, you can have a trainer and you think he's a good trainer and he didn't get you to do push-ups. And somehow the right guy clicked at the right time. I wasn't ready for it. You weren't ready for it. There's that link that I like to keep on bringing up, that you need to find the right person. It's got to be the right time, and everything's got to click. And ultimately, the person himself has to be motivated. At a certain point, like I'm just using exercise. You're 30, I don't know. You're 40, I don't know. Then the doctor says, hey, you know what? Your cholesterol's high. My knees. And then suddenly, somebody say, you know what? It's just about time. And then when you're just ready, you're ready. And people have to understand that our mind is much more complex than our bodies. And our minds are delicate. And like you said, is it now that stigma is less, you're hearing about it more, or just the world is a harder place to live in? It's just a harder place to live in. I want to give one more great mashal. There's a lot of people having knee replacements nowadays. When I was a kid, I never heard of knee replacements. Today, it's like every Monday and Thursday is having a knee replacement. Why are we having so many knee replacements? You know why? People are running a lot. Okay, people didn't run before, they did. They're running on asphalt. You're running on pavement. See, all these guys are running on Ocean Parkway. I happen to, when I walk on the grass, they're killing their knees. If you pound your knees on asphalt, pavement for years, you're going to have to replace your knees. God didn't make the world to run on asphalt. He made grass. He made dirt. You're working in a farm. You'll be okay. We went and changed the world. And our bodies are suffering because we weren't made to live in the world like this. Organic versus pesticides. We made the world a more difficult world for ourselves, and therefore we suffer. And it's the same in mental health. The fact that we have our phones and our iPads and our checking and our this and our that, and bombarded with likes and not likes and Instagrams, we're toasting our brains. The amount of financial pressure that exists, it's huge. And we're doing it to ourselves. Can we turn it around? I don't know. But we're not living in the world of 20, 30, 40 years ago. And therefore, the studies show that 1 in 4 people are going to have a real mental health issue that they're going to need help with over their lifetime. It's a real thing. So you can't just sit back and say, everything's going to be fine. I hope so, but based on the natural turnout of events, people are going to need more and more help, and it's just what it is. People are suffering quietly and silently. And that's why we opened it up, because we said we want to have a place that people can turn to in a safe way.
Of course, and also that's also why you did your own, I think, the right match with the rabbinical mental health workshop. That was for you. That was the correct match, because it was someone who resonated with you, but also could convey that message to you. So yeah, I completely agree about the right match, because look where we are right now. You created SIMHA, you created a beautiful organization that right now you're saying that it's needed.
Again, I'm going to keep on using mashals. I'm a rabbi. We like mashals. It's about first responders, but the first responder has to get them. So if you say the first responder comes, Hatzalah call, guys on the floor, right? He doesn't go and say, okay, I'm doing brain surgery now, right? Your job is to get him to the right person and the right way. Put him on the stretcher, get him to the right emergency room that could deal with it. So ultimately, what we want and are hoping from these people that are trained, that's they pick up a problem and they're able to get them to the right help, to realize it's above my pay grade. I can't deal with this. And that's a lot of times what happens when they'll call us and they'll say, hey, just last 2 weeks ago, I got a call, again, confidentiality. People are newly married, there's problems, the rabbi's 32 years old. I don't know what to do with this. What is it? Do they need shalom bayit issues? Is it a mood disorder? Is it OCD? What's going on over here? There's too much. There's so much going on over here. Get them to come to Simcha, meet a psychologist or a social worker licensed for free. Means you don't normally, like I have a problem when you call a psychologist. Yeah, I'd like you book you for $900 to talk to you. No one's doing that. Yeah. So you got a question. What do I do over here? What is the couple could call, the rabbi can call, the Kala teacher could call, the teacher could call, the principal calls. What do we do here? Within 24 to 48 hours, you're in an office that looks nice like this. You're sitting down there. You're talking to a professional. Tell you, okay, what's going on here? What do I do? Do I need help? Do I need help? Who can help me? It's not just people make the mistake of saying, oh, you know what? I just had this 3 days ago. We're using this therapist. Why? Well, she helped my niece, so I think it's good. It's good for my son. I say it's like saying, you know what? I want to use a surgeon for what? Oh, for my knee. What? Oh, he helped. He did shoulder surgery for my brother, so he could probably help my knee. Every surgeon's different. Every case is different, and we try to personalize it. What's your problem? Who's going to be the right therapist for you?
Kosher Media is the largest advertising network across Jewish communities worldwide. They reach hundreds of thousands of people through text, email, and social blasts. With their network of hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, dozens of WhatsApp chats, and so much more, they are the go-to advertising network for the Jewish community. Check them out at koshermedia.com and level up your marketing game today. Yeah, and you said that like $900 for a mental health professional. It's like the world is kind of making it harder for us to get help. And SIMHA just lets you have like a 10-minute phone call. Walk me through a day of SIMHA. What's it like about someone going to SIMHA and they're
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Like, walk me through it.
Walk me through, right. So they make a phone call. Mental health professional answers the phone, gives them a 10 to 20 minute screening. It's just basically what's going on over here. Are you having thoughts to hurt yourself? Like let's evaluate the story over here. After that, like I said, within 24 to 48 hours, they come down in person, speaking to a mental health professional, 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes it lasts 2 to 3 hours. Figure out what's going on. Then we finally figure out what the story is. We reach out to the therapist that we think matches the person, because we're not going to say, oh, here, call that person. Go ahead. They'll call you back in a month, right? We call the person, say, do you have an availability? This is the story. Do you think this person is a match for you? Yes. Okay. Call the client back and say, they're waiting for your call. We don't make the appointment because we need the buy-in of the client. Here's the number. They're waiting for your call. We wait a week and we call them back. Say, what happened? Oh, they sent me this paper to fill out and they asked me questions. I'm scared they're going to take my children. Calm down. It's a standard paper. It's okay. And we get them there. 2 weeks later go by. Had the first appointment, go, great. Horrible. What was horrible about it? Okay. Go back and talk to him. It's like a date. Don't drop the girl on the first date. Give her a second date, right? Let's go back. And then if after we see it's not, okay, so you don't get married on the first shot, we'll give you another therapist. But we're trying to make sure it's going to work, because there's so many opportunities people fall out that we have to support them through the process and make sure that they stay through for the long haul.
Yeah, people get scared. And also, like, with any addiction, actually, it's people always say that they want help, and they're always saying, like, I need help, I have to finish. Like someone gambling, they're saying, like why, like, I have to stop gambling, I just lost so much money. Then they just keep on doing it. They don't want to stop, And it seems what you're doing here is that you're trying to say there's no way out. We have to help you. There's no way that you are going to be stuck in this continuous cycle of your addiction, your anxiety, your depression. And it's honestly incredible because it seems very comprehensive, right? It's like a very meticulous process of...
Just one point I just want to add. Active addictions we don't deal with. There's a great organization called SAFE. Mm-hmm. And if someone's actually, addicted now, that's not our...
I meant as an example.
Right,
yeah.
right. But
So depression more.
Right.
Yeah.
Depression, whatever it is, like you're saying, right, people are stuck in it, and it's hard for them to get out as self, defeating as it is, or self, ruination, but they're stuck in it. They're used to it. Sometimes, the devil that you know is better than the devil you don't. You're just used to it.
What does that mean? Sorry.
It means sometimes you know something, are comfortable with it. So devil that you know is better than the devil you don't. They're both devils. So the therapist is the devil. I don't know him. My condition is the devil, but I do know him. So I'd rather have the devil that I know than the devil that I don't.
So after SIMHA opened, was there a case that finally said, wow, this is what we're here for. This is what SIMHA is made for. This is why we opened the entire organization?
So there's a lot of cases, a lot of success cases, Baruch Hashem. And I can't say we opened for these cases, but there's certain cases that happened that we say like, wow, what would have happened if we wouldn't have been there? That kind of story. So they're more, the more severe cases, which don't happen all the time. I would say it happens, once a month, severe case where it's a life and death story. And the truth is when you call us, we say, if this is a life and death, hang up, call Hatzalah 911. We're not here to, walk someone off the bridge, or not walk, walk them that they don't jump. Right?
Yeah.
That's not our job. But I had a case where, get a phone call. Guy says, my brother has been dealing with depression, and he told me today he's killing himself, and he's on his way to work. What do I do? What do I do? So, of course, the answer is you call Hatzalah, okay? The guy says, the guy's going, let's say for argument's sake, we'll say cash advance. He works in cash advance, and he's going to work. What am I going to do? I'm going to call Hatzalah and come with the sirens in and take him out of his desk. He's going to kill me. I don't know how serious he was. Maybe he just said it. What am I going to do? He's going to do now? You want me to call Hatzalah to go into the guy's business and walk him out of there, right? Well, what's going to happen over here? So the first question I asked is, what does he mean he wants to commit suicide? Like he just says, I don't want to live anymore. I can't handle the pressure. Does he have a plan? He says, yeah, actually, he told me he plans on hanging himself. I mean, he's got a plan. He's hanging himself today. So we have, different resources. We actually have somebody, Isaac Sutton. He worked for SAFE. He worked for SBH. He's a licensed mental health professional. And when there's crisis, again, we don't do this for a living, but if something comes up like that, by mistake, so to say. So we have people that, in this case, wasn't Isaac, it was somebody else, that went down to the office, incognito. You know what incognito means?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a spy mission.
Right, a regular guy. Imagine you walk in, right, and say, you know what, I want to take a loan from the cash advance guy. Well, let me sit down. I want to talk to you.
Oh,
it's private.
gosh.
Let's talk on the side. Spoke to the guy, did an assessment, saw the guy really was suicidal. Said, you know what, I think it's good. We'll take a little walk. Went outside. And from there, the guy went home, got some stuff with this person, and went straight to a mental health facility and spent a week there. Amazing. So this is like really saving a person's life. There was another case. But also
not embarrassing him at the same time.
Right. Well, I mean, because you take a huge risk. If you do something like that, when you make an intervention, if you do the wrong intervention, it could backfire. So it's like,
Yeah, and if you guys hadn't been there, you guys would have had Hatzalah come in. The guy freaking out, calling Hatzalah right away. They would have came and it would have kind of embarrassed him.
And sometimes, not just embarrassing, sometimes the trauma of going to a psychiatric ward can be worse than what's going on itself. So there's a lot of sensitivity that needs to be done, and again, training. But there's another, a lot of cases like this. Again, these are the more severe cases, but you know the right person to call at the right time, how to help the person. It's sometimes I'll call that crisis management, but that's not what I don't want to, announce to the community we're here for crisis management, because that's not the ideal, because we're not able, we don't have 10 people in a SWAT team to go down. But sometimes you sort of say, like, slip into those cases where someone has something severe, you didn't realize it. We had a case once where, in this case, Isaac Sutton went to someone's house that was dealing with depression, and, Isaac said, what can I do for you? He says, get me a gun. Whoa. Like, okay, this is more severe than we thought it was. And again, working with it, helping it out. You don't. It's hard to believe sometimes. This is the interesting point. These cases afterwards, I'll meet these people, these 10 or 12 people or whatever the number is. I'll meet them at a bris. I'll meet them there, and I didn't actually see them or talk to them. I would have talked to them on the phone. And you walk into the bris and you say, "These look like regular people. They're not swinging from the chandeliers. These are regular people that you might know, that anyone might know, and they're suffering silently, and nobody knows about it."
It's terrifying.
It is.
It's difficult to find, and it's difficult to find someone to match. Oh, sorry. It's difficult to find someone to match them with. Wow.
To find, again, it's really about, I want to use the word urgent care, because urgent care sounds like these severe emergency room cases. I like to call like a fast track. You go to the airport, you want to go the fast track. You don't have to wait and question this. TSA, you go through the fast track, you're good. We're trying to fast track people. You have a problem, make a phone call. No one's going to know about it, and we'll get you where you have to get to.
And it goes so far. It goes so far that one 10-minute phone call can turn into saving someone's life.
Yeah. You never know what, that's the point. You never know you're unpeeling. People don't share right away what's going on.
So are people just kind of like the first 10-minute phone call, the first meeting, they're kind of to themselves, they're kind of
that first
quiet.
phone call, a lot of times they'll say, and like the last thing, "Oh, by the way, and I'm a little this." And when they actually come in and you talk to them for 45 minutes, you give them time, you start finding out things that you don't get from that first 10-minute phone call. 10-minute phone call is like we'll call it a screening. When you sit down, the person says, "I'm having difficulty with my wife." Okay, turn difficulty with my wife. It turns out the guy has an anger problem and he, it's almost stabbed his wife. You don't really know. That's why we like the in-person.
So you've talked more about helping rabbis and teachers with their mental health problems. What have you been doing specifically targeted to the youth of the community?
So that's a very good point. So we've had trainings, like you said, and the youth. So there was an organization that was around before Simcha called Waze, WAYZ, like give you a direction, like the Waze app. It was started by a group of young men and ladies who felt the need. It was during COVID time where they saw kids suffering, and it was Joby Cabasso, I think, was one that started it. And he tried to help these kids. He made his own logo, made his organization. He was raising money. He was getting them therapists. And we heard about it. It's like, you see a good brand, you want to buy the brand. So he said, this is a great brand. We want to brand it for the Simcha, for the youth. And we teamed up with the Waze organization. Currently, Stephen Azrak is the president. Another few of his members there, Joy Dweck, Rena Cohn. And we try to do like smaller, more intimate, call them, what do they call them? Deep
dives?
Conversations. What's the terms?
DMC.
Right, deep, meaningful conversations. Just to get the word out. We did it, with Matt talking about how to go out and dating, and just to get more of that out there. More recently, I'll go together with Dr. Mandelbaum, who's our chief clinical officer. I didn't mention his name. So he's the psychologist that runs our clinical side. And we'll have, small group of people. We could technically reach out to you and your friends, and let's talk about relationships, talk about vulnerability, talk about, things that are teen struggles, because all struggles, start. They might show up later, but, if you have a bad knee, it's because you weren't doing it right from when you were a kid. There's a right way to run and there's a wrong way to run. Again, back to the mashals. Whatever you're doing, it starts younger. It just gets more intensified as you get older. So if we're able to start working on things when people are younger, just to understand the concepts, just to understand what's going on. What does it mean to feel anxious? What do I do with that? It's a thought, label it. There's all kind of techniques of how to deal with it that could be taught. I always bothers me. This is a larger project. I always ask the following question. I'm going to ask you these 4 questions. I teach in seminary. At the end of seminary, I ask the following 4 questions. I'm sorry, at the beginning of seminary, first day of seminary, I asked the following 4 questions. So you learned science, you learned math, you learned language arts and social studies. How many times do you think in your life you're going to need that information to make it through life?
Probably never.
Never, right? Never. Okay, go home, ask your mom or ask your friends, ask your aunts and uncles the question. Not everyone answers all that. The answer is it doesn't make a difference. But we're sitting here teaching things that don't make a difference to children. Who cares about osmosis, for heaven's sake? And who cares about the name of the hypotenuse? And what do I have to know about Henry Hudson for? And what's the difference with antonym and synonym? I'm fine. I'm doing great, right? Why not teach children techniques to deal with anxiety, to deal with depression, to understand their thoughts, to understand their feelings? Why is that like some on the side thing? Okay, we'll give you the safe curriculum for half an hour, we'll gas around. Like, why isn't that the fundamentals of teaching in school?
Honestly, I have no idea.
It's a great question, right?
Yeah. And also, thing is, we are doing that now. We're trying, I think the schools are trying to integrate it more, but it's not as much.
More, it's it should be the main part. What is important for life?
Yeah.
It's we're just filling the time, so to say, the explorers, and the proof that it's not inherently necessary is, do you think in Panama they teach about Henry Hudson? No, definitely not. They teach about Balboa. He was their explorer. So just because I live in America, 25%, one of the 4 core subjects I have to learn is who this guy was and who that guy was. For what? The Aztecs. For what? Who needs to know that? Montezuma. You ever heard of Montezuma?
I wish.
You ever heard of Montezuma?
No. Never heard of him.
Okay, he was a Aztec. Anyway, I learned that in school. Like, what do I need to know about Montezuma and all these other guys? It's just information.
Yeah.
So that's, we want to try, again, that's, like I said, it's a separate project, tangent, but I'd like, that the more that young people, I remember when I was a kid, I had times I dealt with anxiety. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what it was. Just, you were nervous. Just the fact, this is one of the key points. Once you know what something is, that normalizes it. It's okay. It's okay. You're allowed to feel a little nervous before you start a podcast. It's okay. God put inside of you something called an amygdala. It's in your brain. Releases something called cortisol when you feel it's a danger. And that cortisol causes your heart to start beating faster. It causes energy to go to your muscles because it's called flight or fight. God put it into us this great thing called flight or fight. It's unbelievable. If you're walking and you hear a bus go, you run. Why do you run? Did you think to make that decision? No. What happened was your amygdala detected danger, released cortisol, it gave you energy, and now you could run. That's flight or fight. It energized you. What happens if something comes into your mind and there is no fear? You're afraid now. I might say something silly over here, right? Nothing otherwise. So what happens? Your palms start getting sticky. Your heart starts breathing, and you start feeling uncomfortable because all that energy and those chemicals that are going into your body that say run, but you're sitting here. So you're about to take that test in school, and you're scared. All this is going through you now. What you really need to do is get up now and run in the gym because you got all that energy because of all those chemicals that were released in your body because of danger, and the danger's not there. If you just understood that, you say, let me take a deep breath. Nothing's happening. Because deep breathing also has a way of, there's a nerve over here called the vagus something, I forgot what the name of the nerve is, and that calms you down with deep breathing. So if you teach a kid before a test, you get nervous, stop, breathe deeply. And this is unbelievable. You know what happens when this cortisol gets released in your brain? Imagine you were standing in front of the bus and saying, should I run, shouldn't I run? By the time you make a decision, the person would be dead. So what happens is it shuts off the frontal cortex. It shuts off the part of your brain that makes decisions. You can't decide, just run. That's why when kids take tests, sometimes they say, I knew everything, then I forgot everything before the test. That's because the kid's frontal cortex was shut down because of the cortisol, because of his anxiety. And if he would have taken a few breaths and understood what was going on over here, he would have got a 90 on the test. Why don't we teach the kid that?
The entire internal conflict they're going through, no one's really discovering it. Thing is that now we have the SAFE Foundation. I remember I was talking to Ike Dweck. He was talking about the SAFE Foundation that he was in. We give auditorium speeches and all the kids listen for 45 minutes. And he was saying that, when I was listening to speeches, I was like, I'll never end up like that. Ends up becoming gambling for years and years. It becomes an obsessive gambler.
Right.
So how do you ensure that the kids aren't going to just be like I'm not going to end up like that. There's no way. How do you ensure that happens?
Right, so that's why, like I said, the more intimate discussions you have, the more people are vulnerable. You may be able. That's why, in this training course that we have for the rabbis and for the female teachers, we don't have one lecturer talking to 45 people. we like to have what we call experiential small groups. And that way you could feel it and talk it and live it. So the more you can't, it's really about grassroots. It's about getting there and having kids talk and being vulnerable and sharing their feelings and sharing their emotions. It might not be a gamble, but are you an impulsive person? Do you make rash decisions? There's the impulsivity. A lot of times people that are gamblers, they're really dealing with ADD, ADHD. They need thrills. They're impulsive. And put that together with the wrong cocktail and you turn out on the gambler. But if he would have dealt with his ADD and impulsivity in high school before he became a gambler, that might have been avoided. So again, that's like the earlier back we go and the more education we have, the better off we'll be.
Wow. And have you been seeing through kids and adults, has there been kind of one mental illness that keeps reoccurring?
Worldwide, nationwide, and community-wide, the two highest ones are anxiety and depression. That's like ice cream. That's like, chocolate and vanilla. Do you have people that have mood disorders? Do you have people that have, personality disorders? Do you have people that have defiant disorders? There's a book, a Bible like this, DSM it's called, full of disorders, hundreds of disorders. But the basic things that people have on the average, healthy people, struggle with anxiety, struggle with depression. You know why? Because everybody has anxiety. If you wouldn't have anxiety, you wouldn't be normal. If you didn't have anxiety, you would run in the middle of the street and get killed. And everyone has moods. The question is, there's certain extremes within them. There are other things that are clinical. Not everyone has a little schizophrenia in their body, right? Not everyone has diseases, but everyone has anxiety. It's normal. Everyone has depression. It's normal. The question is when it gets increased. And this is an important point that I really want to share. If listeners are going to use this practically, how do I know? How do I know that I need help? Just because I keep going like this, does that mean I need help? It's a good question. How do I know when I need help? So the answer is IDF. You know what IDF stands for? What does IDF stand for?
What do you mean? You mean Israeli Army?
Israeli Defense Force. That's what IDF stands for, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. That's the right answer. Good. You got so far you already answered 5 out of 5 questions correctly. IDF stands for intensity, duration, and frequency. That means how intense is your, not that intense. If you go, it's not that intense, right? Duration, how does it last for? Is it going on for hours? And how frequent is it? Does it happen? So the same thing with depression. How intense is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 3. You're okay. It's a 9. That's pretty intense. I'm crying and crying and crying. That's intense. Okay, it's not a 9. It's a 3, but it's already for 3 weeks. I'm at a 3. 4 weeks. It's a month. It's 6 months. I'm at on a 1 to 10. I'm at a 3. That's lasting too long, right? It happens only one day a week, but it happens every week. That's frequent. So basically, is it interfering with your functioning?
That's when
you know you have a problem. Is it interfering? You're missing work. You're not getting along with people. You can't take. You're failing your tests. These are challenges that are become just so difficult that now I need help.
You created an organization that has been able to help so many people. But what would your advice be to any person who is looking to just make a difference? What is one piece of advice you would give to them for them to go out, take that first step, create something like SIMHA, or not even SIMHA, just any type of advice for one kid or any adult?
First thing is you need to have a good team. You need to have people that are behind you. No one man can do anything. You need to have a team. And like I said, I started with these two, powerful, influential people, Mark Adjmi and Nathan Hoffman. We have a full committee that we have now. Ike Towell joined us at the beginning. And I'm not going to go through the whole committee now, but we have a strong committee. That's A. And B is you have to collaborate and ultimately be out for the community at large, which is what's beautiful about our community is that we work together. I mentioned Safe and Ike Dweck and James Haddad, Charlie Tabelli. We work well with them. SBH, I think I don't know who else you've...
Sam Sutton.
SBH, did you do? Sam Sutton is and his Nancy are the Cancer Society,
Yeah,
right?
so he used to be the president of SBH.
SBH, right? Now it's I think it's currently David Beta. So we work with SBH, we work with SAFE. We trained Nancy Sutton in our training course. You know, all of the community organizations are beautiful. Is we're out for the community. It's not like, you know, I want to do this, you can't do that. It's for the betterment of the community. So if someone else is doing it, you really have to be. It's not about, you know, how can I shine, but it's more about what's the need. What's the need now? I found the need, and if you see if the need is really there, it will naturally, you know, take the traction, whatever. It'll develop because it's almost organic. When something is a necessary need, and you're trying to fill that need, it'll just happen. It's almost what we use the word organic. It'll prove itself. You know, if we started SIMHA and there wouldn't be needed, it would have fizzled out. The reason why we're here is because it's something that's needed, and we're focused on what we need to do and what's needed. Like I said, if someone comes with an active addiction, I say, call SAFE. If somebody comes, and a lot of times they do, and the therapist that we need is in SBH, we have a relationship with SBH. We'll talk to them. Yes, this person, your clinical, it's called counseling. Your counseling department division can help it. Go ahead. You have to be able to build a good team and play nicely in the sandbox, as they say. You got to get along with everybody and work with everybody. So it's really about developing these systems and the dynamics of the systems. You know, you're yourself, and you have your own inner system. Then you got to work with everybody else and continue to branch out that way. Because one person is going to go out there, you can't do anything on your own. You really have to just learn how to keep developing and networking and growing that way.
Thank you so much, Rabbi David Sutton, for joining me on Impact. It was wonderful to have you here. I was so excited to hear about your mashals, your entire story, the beginnings of Simcha, and also the reason why I lick my lips so much. So it was great to learn all that in one interview.
It's called LLD, lip disorder. We just developed it here today for the first time, and we'll do further research into it.
Next fast.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Impact by Momentum. This was an amazing episode with Rabbi Sutton. As always, here are 3 things you can take from this conversation into your life. First up, look beneath the surface. So often, we see someone struggling, a kid who's acting out, a person who isolates themselves, and we assume we know the story. But as Rabbi Sutton shared, there's almost always something deeper going on. What might look like laziness, rebellion, or apathy could actually be anxiety, OCD, or depression. The key is to shift your perspective and seek to understand. And on that note, takeaway number 2 is to understand before you act. Before offering help, pause and ask questions. Listen closely. Before you offer advice or guidance, figure out what the person actually needs. Like the girl Rabbi Sutton mentioned who only wanted to go out with the guy who learns. When Rabbi Sutton uncovered her real concerns, he was able to relate to her and offer genuine advice. And third, build a team that complements your skill set. You don't need to master every skill to succeed. Identify your strengths, be honest about your weaknesses, and bring in people whose talents fill those gaps. When you surround yourself with a complementary team, you can take on challenges far bigger than you could alone. If this episode moved you, I highly encourage you to check out my conversation with Ike Dweck. After struggling with a gambling addiction for years, he started an organization called the Safe Foundation, which has saved the lives of hundreds of people who struggle with addiction. Check that episode out with the link in the show description. And guys, one more thing before we go. This podcast is in its early stages. This is just one of our first episodes, and I need your feedback. If there's anything that you think I can do better, any kind of feedback at all, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.